What's up, everybody? Dr. Jeff, Chief Medical Officer at Rythmia Life Advancement Center. So tonight's topic is Heal My Heart, which is the third intention that we set for the guests when we teach them how to do the process with the plant medicine. So the last 2 weeks I talked about show me who I've become, right? That's the first intention. The second one is reunite me with my soul at all costs. And the third one I'm going to talk about tonight is heal my heart. So a lot of people come to Rythmia with a laundry list of intentions, which is really good. And they have certain goals, things they want to realize. And everybody asks me, should I go into the plant medicine session, with all these things that I have on my list, like right there, present, and should I be like thinking about them the whole time? And my response is no, you don't need to do that because you already made the list. You know what you need to do. You don't need to kind of like stress about it because your brain is very smart, right? Obviously. And it knows what you want to accomplish here with the plant medicine. So I tell guests, just, you know what you need to do, just go up there and just relax, just breathe into it and just let it happen. Because healing your heart is the last stage of this whole process where you're reunited with yourself and you're plugged in back to the authentic you. So a lot of us have had damage done to our heart. A lot of us have, and pretty much everybody in the world has. Some of us have had it when we were kids. Some of us had it when we were adults, and in teenage years, adult years, and that's normal. It's part of life. There's like disappointment, discouragement. We have expectations that don't happen. People, treat us a certain way that's not great. We disappoint ourselves. So our heart takes on a lot of damage. When Jerry, the CEO of Rythmia, who was my client for many years, when he did plant medicine for the first time, his heart, he saw it. He actually got to see it, and it was black like coal. It was just dark because he had been so hurt and so damaged, and he had done so much to himself, and other people had done certain things to him that were like really disappointing. And what happened for him is he got a brand new heart. Again, it's symbolic of just being like reborn and plugged into yourself and just like starting from a fresh space. There's this concept called love accounting. And love accounting is kind of like what we do in life when we go about our daily sort of like routine, and we think that, I only have a certain amount of like energy to give to people. I only have a certain amount of love to give to other people. I save it for, certain individuals. And that's actually not what happens when you get a healed heart. What happens is you have an infinite source of love, and you can give to others continually. You can just constantly flow this positive vibe, and it never runs out. And so, and the reason for that is because your heart is healed, and you're truly, like, all your wounds, all your disappointments, all the abuse you've received, all the things you went through in life, they've been healed, and you're moving forward in a positive manner. Now, we've all had our heart broken for different reasons, right? I've had my heart broken before, for different situations that happened, whether it was my childhood or my adult years. And it's a moment to reflect and think about ourselves. When I had my heart broken, I remember it was like very distinct. And what I looked at was like, why did this person do this? Why did they do this to me? But what ended up happening was I looked at myself and I said, wow, what was it about me that I had invested in this particular person that was not appropriate and wasn't really for my own personal healing, but was a simulation of some old wounds that I had from childhood with my parents and with my upbringing, and why was this reflective of like how this relationship was? And I really got to do some soul searching. And so like the broken heart was something that was like an awakening for me. And it helped me sort of understand more about myself. And like, it helped me, I was lucky. I had a chance to sort of reevaluate who I was as a person at that time. This is way before plant medicine, is way before Rythmia. And I learned that, having a heart that's broken is something that creates change. It's a catalyst for the next level of evolving and being connected and like understanding who you are as a person. So I learned from it, and I'm grateful to the people that I was involved with that broke my heart. And it's crazy to think that way, because it's like, most people say, screw that person. They were mean. They were, it was a bad relationship. It was something horrible. Well, you know what? Maybe it was, but the bottom line is, what do you learn from it? What do you get out of it? What I got out of it was a long period of heartbreak and confusion. But then I was persistent, and I tried to look at myself in that process. And I said, you know what? This is a parallel process, which we like to talk about in psychology, which is like something's happening currently that is reflective of something ancient in my life, or historical, maybe from my teenage years or childhood years, that wasn't resolved. And I replicated a dynamic with somebody that was indicative of something with my mom, or something with my family, or something of a self-belief system that I had. And I like created this sort of dynamic that was going to be a heartbreaking situation. And then it happened, right, as it was expected to be. And then it's like, I have a choice. Do I wallow in misery and sorrow, or do I learn from this and pick myself up and be like, you know what? This is a learning experience. I grew from this. I changed. And the beauty of plant medicine and what we're doing at Rythmia is that that's happening every night here. People are getting this sort of connection every single night. They're realizing that the so-called heartbreaks that they had in their life are learning opportunities and growth opportunities, and they're windows into your soul, so you can look at who you've become, and you can see what's up with yourself. You can move forward in a positive manner because you're healing it. You're understanding where it comes from. You're breaking the cycle. There's like, I deal with a lot of people that have they were abused as kids. They have child abuse stuff that they went through. And I ask them, I go, okay, so what was your father or your mother or your uncle or whoever, what was their life like when they were kids? And they were abused as well, right? And so like what was great grandma or great grandpa or great uncle like? Well, they abused them as well, right? So it's like just this cycle that just continues. And the reason that it continues is because there's shifts in DNA that occur that create a sort of dynamic that's neurochemical and biological. But there's also like this social pattern, this emotional pattern, this neurochemical pattern that's like passing down from generation to generation. And the beauty of what we're doing at Rythmia is we're breaking these dysfunctional cycles. We're breaking them. And what that means is that everybody after you, you're healed, and everybody after you is healed. And they don't have to deal with this again. And it's like, how amazing is that? Because it's like this ripple effect. Like, if I come from a long line of alcohol abuse and depression, well, I can continue to do what my dad, my grandpa, my great grandpa, and everybody did. I can continue that. My kids can do it. My son can do it. My grandkids can do it. My great grandkids can do it. That's kind of like what happens in society. Or I can make a choice and I can stop it. I can stop it. I can have the self-awareness to realize that this is not who I am. This is not about like my lineage anymore. I'm going to break this sort of like pattern. And then who benefits from that is not only just myself and my family currently, but who benefits is my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids. Everything's changing. So there's a lot of responsibility upon us. Are you going to be somebody who's going to make this change? Are you going to break the habits? Excuse me. Are you going to break the habits of this generational dysfunction behavior, right? Are you going to be the person? I know you are. You're going to be the one that like snaps this chain. And it's super powerful when people do this, because they feel like this generational piece. It's not just a piece about you. It's this piece that they feel that's like unexplainable, because it's not a piece only of like your own moment, but it's a piece that you feel that has to do with your dad and your granddad and your great granddad and who knows, way back to the beginning of whatever, right? And everybody's healed because you made a shift. One time on plant medicine, I was able to visit a great grandmother of mine, and I'm from Scotland originally. I'm from Los Angeles, but my lineage is from Scotland on both sides of my family. And my great great grandmother actually still wore a kilt and was a very traditional Scotland woman. And what I got to see on plant medicine is I went way back. I don't know how far back I went. I mean, it was probably 5 generations, 6, 7, who knows, 8. I don't know. But I went way back into my family line, and I went to Scotland, and I saw my great grandmother, and she handed me a set of dice, and they look like stones, and it was passing on to me a tradition of love and spirituality and healing. And I took these stones from her, and she didn't really say much to me. She just handed them over. And I realized that, we are deeply connected to our ancestors, and our ancestors are rooting for us. They're rooting for us to make these changes and these shifts that are necessary for the love and the healing of future generations. So, in society, people always talk about like, well, what are we leaving to the kids and what are we leaving to the next generation? Well, the way to leave a healthy emotional situation to the future generations is to heal yourself first. And then you can heal this historical chain of dysfunctional stuff. And it's such an amazing experience. And it's like so grounding and so powerful, and you can feel it. And I also went to, which is crazy, but I went to the bottom of the ocean, and I on this plant medicine, and I saw all my ancestors lined up, and they were all hugging me. And I went down this line, and I was shaking their hands and hugging them and kissing them and just moving on down this line. It took like several hours. I mean, it was infinite, this line. It was my family, and they were all rooting for me and pulling for me because they were aware of this dysfunctional sort of like hereditary vibe that was being passed on, and they didn't want it to continue. They wanted to be healed, and so I was a catalyst for certain parts of it that could be healed. My kids will be certain parts of it that can also heal as well. Things that I missed, or things that I haven't like addressed completely, and that's how it works. And so if you teach a culture of healing to your kids, and you teach a culture of healing to your family and who you are as a person, not only what happens for you is what happens for generations to come, and also ancestral stuff. And it's very powerful. And the shamans I work with, I talk to all these shamans all the time, and I talk to them about like, what is their belief system. And, I have a anthropology undergrad background. I study Latin American culture, ethnobotany, family systems theory. And these guys and these women all believe that the ancestral connection is super important because it dictates to some degree who we are as individuals right now. And so in order to heal the parts of that aren't serving us right now, we need to address the historical nature of it and the future productivity of what's coming. So it's an honor actually to be in the place where you can heal yourself first, and then you can work on generational healing, ancestral and future coming up generations. What society wants you to do is break away from your family. Society wants you to not be a unit. It wants you to be an individual who's alone. And society kind of works this way because in that manner, you can you can look towards government or industry or companies that you rely on, and you don't, banking, you should rely on these agencies and these external people. And that's like a horrible sort of event, and a ridiculous sort of way to look at living. And the reason is because those agencies, governments, organizations don't have your best interests at heart. They have the interests of greed and control and power and money and influence, and very deep, dark secrets that are not good for you or for anybody in the world or in the universe. It's just not the way to go. So what society does, it tries to break that chain and make you feel that you're an individual and you're alone and you have to rely on them. You know what I say? No way. No way. We're not going to do it. It's not us. We're not going to rely on you. We're not going to rely on the government. We're not going to rely on companies. We're not going to rely on these huge industries that are billion-dollar quarter places, whatever. We're not. We're going to rely on ourselves, our family bloodline, and the future generations to come. That's what we're going to do. And the reason we're going to do that is because that's what's real. That's what makes a positive impact in the world. And if I'm healed, and my ancestral line is healed, and they have the influence and the power behind me, then I can move forward with my future generations and my kids. I can influence them for good. I had a friend, I still do, who's a Maori from New Zealand. His name's Waka Painea. And Waka Painea taught me the haka, the kamate. And the kamate haka is a chant of a challenge. And what it is, it calls on the ancestral spirits to be connected to you currently this moment, so you can heal and grow and be powerful and be who you are as a person. It is an amazing, beautiful chant, but it's very fierce. And the reason is because this is serious. This is not a child's play or some stupid crap that just happens, whatever, nobody cares about it. This is the real deal. This is what goes on underneath the surface of society and what's happening in life. And so, the kamate is about a man in a Maori man who was a chief who was running from another chief because there was some sort of scandal, and he was running, and he jumped into a taro patch sort of hole where they would store a bunch of taro, and he jumped down in there to hide. He dug himself under the taro, and all the villagers that were chasing him in the other tribe ran past him because they didn't see him. And then he got a ladder, and he was climbing out. He was getting up to the awakening of himself. And that's what this haka represents. And you guys seen it. You guys seen that. You can YouTube the All Blacks rugby team haka. And that's what they're doing. That's that kamate kora. That's what they're doing, because they're representing their ancestors. And they're also showing the power they have as individuals. And they're moving forward in a positive way to climb out of adversity and to break the chain of all this dysfunction, all this stuff that's happened historically that we carry within our DNA. We carry within our behavioral sort of like way of operating, because I saw my dad do it. I saw my grandpa do it. So it's what I do. But guess what? A lot of that stuff would say 80% is good, 20% is not. It's not functional for you. It's not healthy. So that's why you can do this work. You can come to Rythmia. You can heal who you are as a person, and then you can move forward in a positive way for change. That's what this is about. Heal my heart. That's what you guys got to do. Show me who I've become, reunite me with my soul at all costs, and heal my heart. That's what Rythmia is about. Come check this out. The plant medicine is showing us every day how to manage this situation and how to be focused on who we are as people. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week. Pura vida from beautiful Costa Rica. All right. Thanks for watching.